Disney is well known as being one of the most evil companies to ever exist, hiding behind a fake facade of child-friendly magic and whimsy. That is, until a child is touched on one of their cruise lines and they cover it up, or when they mass murdered a bunch of animals for a documentary. Oh yeah, this one's brutal. Disney has had a large history with controversy, and so that is why I constructed this big-ass list, going from everything from just simple movie problems to actual serious crimes. So sit back and relax, my cheeky little good boys. Call your therapist as we delve balls deep into the Disney controversies iceberg chart, bro. This one is brutal. Live-action remakes. This entry is in reference to the absolute epidemic and controversy behind Disney's new goal of making as many live-action remakes of their animated classics as possible, even of ones that released less than 10 years ago. What makes these so problematic, aside from just the obvious cash grab side of it, is that these live-action remakes famously ruin everything that made the originals so special. Flounder, for example, is a very expressive character. In the remake, he's just a damn fish, along with the fact that the actresses chosen to represent the main leads almost always look nothing like their animated counterparts, pissing off everybody just out the gate. The most infamous example of these remakes is the Snow White remake. The Snow White live-action remake specifically comes under heavy amounts of criticism for just all kinds of shit. The obvious is the race swap of Snow White, a character who is quite literally referred to as being white as snow, as well as the 7 dwarves not being played by 7 actual dwarves, but instead just a bunch of ugly-ass CGI characters. Probably because of this dickhead. The writing just isn't good, the acting as well, especially, is not good, and also the idea that Snow White is supposedly the fairest in the land, meaning most attractive, when the evil queen laps her in that aspect. I know that that's mean, but that's what everybody and their mom was saying when this bitch released. The movie is a complete mess, start to finish. The immense backlash and low profits of Snow White actually ended up halting future live-action remakes from happening, putting the live-action Tangled movie on an indefinite hold. But when the live-action Lilo and Stitch came out, a bunch of NPCs went and saw it, and it put Disney's live-action plan back into motion. Kathleen Kennedy, the Voldemort of Star Wars, is the now recently retired Kathleen Kennedy. When George Lucas sold his company and thus the rights to Star Wars and Indiana Jones, Kathleen Kennedy would be the one to be brought on to continue those franchises. The only problem is that every single project that she touched turned to cat dung. She didn't take Star Wars pretty much at all seriously and just actively had a let's wing it mindset, where her Star Wars trilogy had no plans or cohesive director during them, with the trilogy itself also just having no overarching story. The prequel trilogy is about an innocent, wide-eyed child becoming the most evil person in existence. The originals are about a whiny little nobody becoming the biggest badass in the universe, taking down pretty much a Nazi regime, and the sequels is about a girl who is perfect at everything and does everything flawlessly, remaining perfect at everything and doing everything flawlessly. She is literally a master swordsman the actual frame one moment she picks up a lightsaber, dude. Kathleen Kennedy's direction made Star Wars lose pretty much all of its charisma, good writing, its story, characters that matter, actual continuity, and especially fight choreography. Why do characters just do these random twirls? Indiana Jones was sidelined for a new woman character and also had the themes of capitalism throughout it. By the way, we're going to be talking about like a lot of political stuff in this iceberg. I'm just the messenger here. I'm just the one portraying the info. Kathleen Kennedy is, though, just a political activist who owns the rights to Star Wars, and everything she touches turns to sewage. Except for Rogue One. That shit's fire. Somehow Palpatine returned. Going off of the giant tangent on Kathleen Kennedy that I just said, can all be summed up with one line in a Star Wars movie that perfectly gets the point across as to how laughably lazy and pathetic Star Wars was treated by Disney.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Emperor Palpatine is the main antagonist of Star Wars, as he was the major villain in all 6 of the original movies before being killed off in Episode 6 by Anakin. Let me break it down for anyone watching who might not know anything about Star Wars. Anakin's story is that he brings balance to the universe. He is the chosen one who is destined to defeat all evil. And after 6 movies, he sacrifices himself to do exactly that. Even after becoming Vader, his last moments alive is him fulfilling his prophecy and putting an end to everything that's happened. But somehow Palpatine returned. The entire franchise and Anakin's entire storyline meant nothing because somehow Palpatine returned. Also, somehow is the reason that they give behind Palpatine returning. They legitimately do not explain it at all. I'm actually upset. You know those flaming horse memes where they rate franchises based on how well drawn or on fire the horse is? The sequel trilogy to Star Wars is just someone executing the fucking horse. The Black Friday reel. Let's cool off a little bit and talk about just more general Disney stuff. Whew, we just started and I'm already pissed off. The Black Friday reel is the earliest version of Toy Story that would face major backlash. Created in 1993, this very early animatic of Toy Story was given an extremely dark and just mean-spirited tone to it that painted Woody as nothing more than a cruel, abusive bully who openly insulted the other toys and pushes Buzz out of the window out of sheer malice and hate. Disney was appalled by this take that Pixar went with Toy Story, and it ended up almost getting the entire project canceled outright. Pixar would then beg Disney for just 2 more weeks to just fully remake the animatic and to rework Woody, which they did and ended up becoming the Woody that we know of today.
Off the bed! You gonna make us, Woody? No. He is. Slinky! Slinky! Get up here and do your job! Are you deaf? I said take care of them!
I'm sorry, Woody, but I have to agree with them. I don't think what you did was right.
What? Who said your job was to think, Spring Wiener?
Well, I just thought that
use this vast reserve of brain power to consider this for a moment. If it wasn't for me, Andy wouldn't pay any attention to you at all. In fact, my sketchy friend, you would have been hauled away to Goodwill a long time ago, so shut your mouth and get them off the bed.
Walt Disney Frozen. There has been an urban legend surrounding the remains of Walt Disney himself, claiming that his frozen body, or at least his frozen head, is locked away somewhere at Disney. The new theory that spawned from this is the idea that Disney would end up naming the movie Frozen, so that way when you try to look up and research Walt Disney's frozen body, all you would get is the actual just Frozen movie, Newt. Pixar actually had a very famous canceled movie called Newt. It's about a newt. But what canceled this movie was just really poor timing, where the plot of Newt was almost identical to the plot of a different movie, Rio. Almost 1 for 1 in their characters and plots. And so Newt was canceled to prevent any comparisons or controversies from happening. Jake Paul, global dickhead and one of the top 10 most hated people in the world currently alive right now, got his start in his career on the Disney Channel. We have someone to blame. John Lasseter. John Lasseter is pretty much the leader of Pixar during the time that he worked there, being either the main director or a major executive producer of every single Pixar movie leading up until his departure, as well as being just one of the first people ever involved in Pixar during its creation. However, John himself would face immense backlash after multiple allegations surfaced of him sexually harassing employees, giving them uninvited hugs, kisses, and inappropriate comments. It was because of this that John would announce that he is leaving Disney and Pixar, where he now works for Skydance, who makes everyone's favorite movies. The Pixar and Disney beef. When Disney and Pixar first collaborated to create 3D CGI animated films, Disney disrespected Pixar majorly. Pixar could not afford to create movies on their own, so if they wanted any actual chance of surviving, they would need the financial backing from Disney, who would also take major advantage of this, and pretty much make Pixar their gimp. They would make a deal with Pixar where Pixar would create 5 original films that Disney would fully own and take all of the profits to, but would give Pixar just, a little nibble of the profit for their troubles. Disney, after just having the financial boom of their last movies, Lion King especially, had the balls and the money to treat Pixar however they wanted. Disney would continue to screw over and belittle Pixar. And as soon as their deal was done with their 5-movie plan, Steve Jobs claimed that he was getting Pixar the hell out of Disney. But the second half of the 90s happened, where Disney would release flop after flop after flop, and Pixar only released bangers, with Finding Nemo in 2003 making more money than Disney's Golden Goose Lion King. Pixar demanded respect, and their proof was that they were making 4 times the profit with their movies than Disney was with theirs. And when Pixar and Disney's original movie deal ended in 2006, the following happened. Circle 7 Animation. Circle 7 Animation was a small sub-studio opened by Disney in 2004 approaching Pixar's deal ending, whose goal was to create low-budget official sequels to popular Pixar movies without Pixar's involvement. 3 movies were initially planned to be created under Circle 7. Toy Story 3, Monsters Inc. 2, and Finding Nemo 2. Toy Story 3 made the farthest into development and even had a full-on test animation release that looked like dog shit. The plot is that all Buzz Lightyear toys would be recalled and shipped back to their factory in Taiwan. So Woody and the gang all go to Taiwan to rescue Buzz. Monsters Inc. 2 was about Mike and Sully going to go visit Boo, until it's revealed that Boo no longer lives there. So the duo travel the human world to find her. It was in this movie that many real monsters were said to make appearances, like the Chupacabra, Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, etc. And Finding Nemo 2 would pretty much just be the same, with Marlin being captured instead, and Nemo and Dory having to go find him, where they would also discover Nemo's long-lost brother. Wowzers. In 2006, Pixar would leave Disney, and following this, Disney would hire new CEO Bob Iger, who claimed that Disney needed Pixar, and actually respected them. So they would strike a deal with Steve Jobs to purchase Pixar for $7.4 billion, where they would then cancel all Circle 7 productions and just continue business as normal, releasing Cars and Ratatouille very shortly after. The Rescuers' boobs. During the home release of the movie Rescuers in 1992, a major recall on the VHS took place. The reason why was due to a single scene where an animator at Disney snuck in a photo of a topless woman that appears on screen for 2 frames. Disney went into panic mode upon hearing this and would issue the immediate recall. Shrek Origin. This is kind of where the whole Disney-Pixar beef kind of comes to a close in just a very nice little bow. In 1994, Jeffrey Katzenberg, the one who would lead and help create all of the Disney major banger 90s movies, would be fired by Disney for his beef with then CEO Michael Eisner, the same dude who refused to give any credit or goodwill to Pixar. Ain't nobody like this dude. Katzenberg would bring Disney its most prominent victories in recent years, and when he pushed to become president of Disney, he would instead be fired for wanting the promotion. Katzenberg would then team up with Steven Spielberg to create DreamWorks, where they would create their first ever movie, Ants, which was meant to be a direct competitor at A Bug's Life, which was releasing around the same time. And after making their own series of 2D animated bangers, which Disney could have had, they then made Shrek, a movie that literally opens with its main character wiping his ass with a fairy tale storybook page. Shrek exists as a middle finger to Disney, and simultaneously with Pixar just pissing in Disney's mouth financially, and Shrek winning the first ever Best Animated Feature Oscar ever. It was the most beautiful karma that Michael Eisner ever received. Lion King SFX. Here's a bit more of a simple one. During this scene in Lion King where Simba flops on the ground, it causes a bunch of pollen and flowers to go up in the air, where it straight up just spells out the word sex. Yeah. When this was brought up, it was actually supposedly meant to read as SFX, as a nod to special effects. Tangled sex. In a literally identical scenario, this promo image of the movie Tangled was released. Looking at the way Rapunzel's hair wraps around Flynn, it's also just a full-on spelling of the word sex. Madness, Elsagate. I talked about this in my YouTube Iceberg, but Elsagate was a form of content farm brain rot that made its rounds on sites like YouTube. It famously features grown adults dressed as Disney characters like Elsa and Spider-Man and just doing very inappropriate shit, all around the tone and editing that the content was made for preschoolers. It's a disgusting piece of YouTube history that just highly uses Disney characters. Lightyear. This one pisses me off in more ways than I can describe. Buzz Lightyear of Star Command was a movie and TV series that released on Disney Channel in the 2000s, and told the story of the actual space ranger Buzz Lightyear that the toy in Toy Story is based on. So when it was announced that official Pixar was making their own Buzz Lightyear movie of that exact concept, I was more excited for that than I've ever been for an animated movie in my life, because I loved Star Command as a kid. Then Lightyear came out and it was the worst Pixar movie by a landslide until it was dethroned. Instead of it being a cool space adventure about Buzz Lightyears, it's instead a boring as hell, repetitive, annoying, confusing time travel movie where Buzz strands his entire battalion on an alien planet, then time travels to fix it, where he then fails and they all just die. Okay. Sure, it's filled to the brim with an overly and just needlessly complicated plot and characters with loose ends that don't matter. Zurg, for example, was this Darth Vader-esque villain with a bit of humor to him. The guy was awesome.
If you want something turn evil, turn it evil yourself. That's what Nana Zurg always used to say to me, and she was plenty evil.
But instead, in Lightyear, Zurg was Buzz from the future. Why? Who somehow turned evil? I don't really understand why he turned evil. Who also, by the way, just looks awful. Look how big his head is on his tiny little body. And the movie also just features the most annoying cast of side characters that you have ever seen. It was genuinely like they tried to make this movie bad.
Oh, we were right there, man!
I couldn't imagine an easier movie to make!
When the movie obviously failed, Pete Docter would blame the audience and claim that the movie asked for too much of them. The movie was only bad because our feeble little minds couldn't understand it. Oh, and I also learned when doing the research for this that the reason why Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, both the movie and TV show, are not on Disney Plus was because John Lasseter said that that's not how they want Buzz Lightyear to be seen as a character. Eat the biggest log. LGBT representation controversy, we are not getting a break. A huge controversy that happened with almost every new Disney movie that releases is when they attempt to add a gay character in Disney or Pixar movies. It sparks a controversy each and every time, so much so that it damn near outweighs the hype of the movie itself. It honestly would not be surprising to me that more people were upset by the fact that Onward featured a gay character than there were people actually excited for Onward, period. Because leading up to the movie's release, this image was the only thing that spread around more than like the trailer, it felt like. And a huge example of this was also with the movie Lightyear, where people who saw the movie didn't leave with the mindset of, oh, that was a good movie. They left with the mindset of, how the hell did those two lesbians conceive a child?
Grandson in the middle of the movie like, Papa Snoop, how she have a baby with a woman? She a woman. Oh, I didn't come in for this. Just came to watch the goddamn movie. Hey man, watch the movie. So it's like, I'm scared to go to the movies now. Like, y'all throwing me in the middle of I don't have an answer for it.
Pixar would later dodge the inevitable LGBT controversies with their next movie, Elio. Is it Elio or Elio? I saw the movie like a month ago and I don't remember. I have Elio on this iceberg for a few different reasons. One is that it's just easily the worst Pixar movie by far. Like, it genuinely feels like it was made with AI. Like, this movie's like actual trash. But going off of what we just talked about, Elio was originally intended to have a major LGBT role in the movie where the main character of Elio himself was intended to be openly gay throughout the movie. However, due to poor test screenings, the entire gay side of Elio was scrapped, along with a deleted scene where Elio creates clothes out of garbage and holds his own trashion show, an obvious play on fashion show. When Pixar ordered to remove all of these gay characteristics, it caused the gay director, Adrian Molina, to leave the project entirely, where they would then have to find a new director to replace them. Little Mermaid penises, I can't even. The Little Mermaid features two dicks. One on the cover of the movie where it's just a full-on cock that could just be seen on the side of the castle, as well as during the movie where the ending wedding scene, the priest just has a visible boner. Okay. Both of these were obviously removed in future releases. Good God. Racism. You know what? I'm just gonna make like a Ratchet & Clank Iceberg next, bro. This is too much major stuff. This entry refers to the more umbrella term aspect of racism that a lot of early Disney projects featured, mainly just racial stereotypes. This includes the character of Sunflower in Fantasia, a very obvious black stereotype character who also serves white people. You have the literal red-skinned Native Americans that appear in Peter Pan, the Asian stereotype Siamese twins in Lady and the Tramp named Sai and Am, and the crows in Dumbo are probably the most famous example of this. Disney loved doing racial stereotypes in their movies. The 65-episode rule. One of the most aggravating rules that Disney Channel ever introduced was the 65-episode rule. In the 90s and 2000s, Disney had a rule of all of their shows, regardless of how successful they are, that they were never allowed to have more than 65 episodes released. This would cause, obviously, a lot of fan backlash, where shows like Lizzie McGuire and Even Stevens abruptly just ended at their peak popularity. This was so Disney could maintain order in their shows and reruns. In their eyes, Disney never needed to make more than 65 episodes of anything, because the reruns of that many would plenty suffice. The first show to ever break that 65 episode rule and go above 65 episodes was Kim Possible, where they would stop the rule entirely. Kenobi. Going back to the mistreatment of Disney Star Wars and just fans taking things way too far, was the show all about Obi-Wan Kenobi, which was just a whole mess in every aspect. People were very upset by the fact that Kenobi himself sometimes felt like a side character, as the show portrayed just as much focus on the African-American villain of the show and her trauma more than Obi-Wan himself. And I specify that she was African-American because that played a major role in it. This spawned pretty much immediate backlash, where racist people would all go to blame the actress Moses and send her non-stop hate and death threats. Aside from this, the show itself was just bad regardless and just made no sense. One famous example of this was when a group of grown adults are chasing a literal 5-year-old girl in the woods, they somehow are never able to catch up to her. Every single aspect of Kenobi, from both a behind-the-scenes standpoint and fan reaction, was just the most toxic mess that you've ever seen. Torture deleted scene. This is a more chill one, I guess, but this refers to a deleted scene in the first Toy Story that was removed for being possibly too violent, which was just an uninterrupted scene of Sid torturing Buzz and Woody. Peter Pan actor stalking. This literally just happened as of the time that I'm writing this Iceberg. Papa Meat made a video on this as I'm writing this. TikTok user by the name of BabyTony99 would come under controversy for essentially harassing the Peter Pan performers at Disney World, where you could just tell that dude wants to die. Turns out she's been doing this for 10 years, where she constantly goes to Disney World and just never leaves Peter Pan alone. It wasn't until this video where it would all blow up and reveal everything that's been happening, where she films herself waiting for Peter Pan to show up before literally chasing him down. This is all she does. Ban her from the park. Grooming child stars. This entry just kind of refers to just the umbrella term where Disney has a history of locking small children into contracts and essentially grooming them into being pop stars, where they take a random child or preteen, give them their own show, have them sing a bunch of songs, make money off the songs, profit, repeat. This exact formula happens so much that even Nickelodeon tried to do it with their characters and their live action shows, but obviously they were nowhere near as successful as Disney's. Disney Plus allergic reaction. If you were on the fence that Disney is an evil company, here's your crossing the line moment. A 42-year-old New York physician with a severe dairy and nut allergy dined at a restaurant in Disney Springs after checking the Disney website for allergen-free options and confronting her allergies with multiple staff members multiple times, who all assured her that the food that she was going to be served was safe, which it was not. This would cause her to have a fatal allergic reaction caused by the food and pass away at Disney. Her husband Jeffrey country would file a negligence and wrongful death lawsuit against Disney. Disney would then move to have the lawsuit dismissed by arguing that they had agreed to a mandatory arbitration for any disputes when they signed up for a 2019 Disney Plus free trial. They argued that they were not responsible for his wife's death because they signed up for Disney Plus 5 years prior. You are kidding me. Disney did not pay a single penny. Walt Disney's mother's death. This is more of an interesting theory, more than like a controversy, but it's still based on tragic origins. You ever notice how in Disney movies nobody has a mother, and if they do, they die immediately? Some people believe that the reason why this happens and why mothers never make a genuine impact or appearance in Disney movies is because of Walt Disney's mother herself. Walt Disney would end up buying his mother a brand new home. It was in this home that she would pass away from a gas leak. Walt Disney blamed himself, and obviously with that came a lot of guilt. People speculate that this is why nobody in Disney movies have any prominent relations with their mothers. The Handy Manny hijack. At 9 a.m. on May 2nd, 2007, a small town in New Jersey would all have their TV feeds interrupted on the Playhouse Disney block. During a broadcast of Handy Manny, the TV station would be hijacked, and in its place was several minutes of uninterrupted hardcore porn. As of today, any footage of this broadcast is currently lost. Wreck-It Ralph 2 pedophilia. Honestly, Wreck-It Ralph 2 should just be its own entry on the list, kind of like how I had with Elio, because they took a genuine 10 out of 10 movie and made a 0 out of 10 sequel that was just nothing but Disney jacking themselves off and showing how much IP they own. But this entry more specifically refers to the theory of an underlying tone of pedophilia in Wreck-It Ralph 2. The entire plot of Wreck-It Ralph 2 is that this child, Vanellope, is pretty much Ralph's only and best friend, but it gets to a pretty much obsession standpoint where it just becomes uncomfortable because you are watching this grown man fully obsessing over a child to such a degree that he may as well have been the antagonist of the film. And when you think about it from that mindset, it just makes Wreck-It Ralph 2 just extremely uncomfortable and just awful to watch. The Disneyland Ghost. Back in the early 2010s, this video went online that claimed to show a ghost in front of the Haunted Mansion, ironically enough. This wouldn't be the only, however, as a large amount of ghost videos taken at Disney parks would all spread online, all of which have been debunked. I know that a ghost hoax isn't really much of a controversy, but we need some palate cleansers in here, man. The Walt Disney College Program. The Walt Disney World College Program is a program that allows college students with various internships to build large amounts of experience. The controversy comes in with the seemingly endless discussion of whether or not this program is actually beneficial as a career starter or is just a way for Disney to profit off of cheap and free labor. In this program, you get a fraction of the benefits and pay as a regular employee doing the same job would get, as well as having extremely long and demanding hours. Proposal ruined. This one will piss you off. In 2022, a viral video would go around of a man proposing to his girlfriend at Disneyland, where an employee then rushes him, takes the ring out of his hands, and makes them do the proposal off of the stage or platform they're on because they, for whatever reason, cannot do it there. So instead of just being a human and just letting them do this, he took his job way too seriously and ruined this literally magical moment. Disney would get involved and make an apology for the employee's reaction. Disney would also then offer the couple a free stay in any hotel of their choice, which they declined, stating that the damage was done and the moment was ruined. Primos. Primos was a new Disney Channel cartoon that would come after some extreme backlash pretty much the moment it released, being a show about Mexican Americans that pretty much plays into every single Mexican stereotype under the sun. Being a comically large family, some of the characters' names are just Mexican foods. Say hi to Nacho. The show took place in a city called Earthquake Heights, where, if you don't know, earthquakes are very common in that region, and because of this, the town was renamed to Hacienda Hills. Many Mexican people and many Mexican American people would be very upset by Primos just in general. I also found out that while doing the editing and the research to this, that the actual title of the show itself doesn't even make sense in terms of like actual Spanish language. This would be like if the title of an American show was called A Balloons. It's like it doesn't work with the plural and all that. The main lead's voice actress would then go and defend all of these stereotypes and say that the people who don't like that are just grammar Nazis. What is the point of anything anymore?
The Spanish language is not a Latin American language. It's a language the Spanish conquistadors forced upon Latin American people. The only reason we're Latin people and not Native American people is because of that distinction. So be mad at me all you want for misspelling words in Spanish. Be mad at me all you want for mispronouncing words in Spanish. That doesn't take away from the fact that I am a Mexican-American, Native American woman. We're trying to make a good show for kids that feel left out, for kids that are different, for kids who don't have a full grasp on any language, no matter where they live. And if you're going to be mad at that...
Moana costumes. This entry refers to a controversy that happened regarding the possible offensiveness of wearing Moana costumes, and mainly the argument that if a non-Pacific Islander wore a Moana costume, would it be racist? The Maui costume specifically heated this debate for the costume itself showing brown skin. Spider-Man grave. A 4-year-old by the name of Ollie Jones would pass away at the age of 4 in December of 2018. Ollie was a huge Spider-Man fan, and so when he passed, his grave was designed around Spider-Man. Disney caught wind of this and demanded that the child's grave be taken down for copyright, and that the actual reason being that Disney wants to uphold the innocence and magic of the character of Spider-Man. Following this, the grave was unfortunately actually removed. World War II propaganda. During World War II, the US government would actually commission Walt Disney to create World War II propaganda cartoons about their characters in order to show American children who the enemies are in the war. It's because of this that you have many cartoons of Donald Duck just with full-on Nazi uniforms, as well as many appearances from Hitler.
Hey, Lisa!
Marcelo Torres. On September 5th, 2003, a park goer by the name of Marcelo Torres would unexpectedly pass away while riding the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad ride. This happened when the front decorative locomotive engine of the train derailed, sending the back of it airborne and crushing Marcelo Torres, who was sitting in the first car of the train. Deadly Force. Deadly Force is the name of the 8th episode of Season 1 of the Disney cartoon Gargoyles that has a large focus on guns and gun safety, when one of the gargoyles named Broadway accidentally shoots another character while playing with a gun. It even shows the character lying in a pool of blood after this happening. The episode would be pulled from airing for obvious reasons, but it would be let back on TV after they edited out all of the blood. Powder. Disney would produce a movie known as Powder, and the writer-director of choice was the infamous Victor Salva. If you don't know who that is, he is a director famously known for creating the horror franchise Jeepers Creepers, and also a convicted child molester. Oh, whoops! And I don't mean alleged, I mean convicted. He did that shit, where he would full on, oh my god, I don't even want to read the rest of the sentence, where he would full on have sex with a child on the set of his first movie, Clown House. And after being released from prison, Disney would hire him on to write and direct Powder. After facing the obvious backlash, Disney claimed that they had no idea of Victor Salva's history prior to Powder's production. Liars. The original victim of the molestation in general would protest Powder and encourage everyone to boycott the film. Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser. The Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser was a hotel at Disney themed around Star Wars that aimed to put its residents in an immersive experience, where the hotel was filled with actors and performers, and the windows in the room would all display TV screens showing space. The overall idea was that you lived in Star Wars. The horrible part was the everything aspect to it. This bomb shelter looking room is where you would stay. and guess how much it cost? This cramped nuclear bunker of a hotel room cost $6,000 for a 2-night stay. This would obviously spark backlash and uninterest, where they would then shut down the hotel. Be Free. Be Free was a canceled Pixar movie set to be directed by Kristen Lester, where the film was about her childhood and dealing with a platonic breakup. The plot is about two best friends who meet a group of magical women who only want one of the girls to join them, causing the two best friends to break up and go their separate ways. There are many speculative reasons as to why the film was canceled. Pete Docter would go on to say that the film was just way too biographical and depressing, and because of that, he believed that the film just wouldn't have any mass marketable appeal, as well as the theory that DreamWorks was also currently making a similar movie, a movie that releases this year called Forgotten Island, with a very similar plot of two girl best friends and their fear of breaking up. Day of the Dead copyright. You want to hear the craziest thing ever? In 2013, the Pixar movie Coco was in production, a movie famously about the Mexican holiday Day of the Dead, or Dia de los Muertos. This would spark Disney to send an application to the US Patent and Trademark Office to, I shit you not, copyright the holiday Dia de los Muertos. Holy hell. They wanted to copyright the name of the holiday so that they could create merchandise featuring the holiday's name as well as the title of the upcoming movie. They copyrighted a grieving father for putting Spider-Man on a kid's grave. Imagine how far they would go to copyright a literal holiday. The Hannah Montana Diabetes episode. Hannah Montana would release an episode of the show that would actually be banned for a short amount of time. This episode would be called No Sugar, Sugar, and is an entire episode centered around diabetes. When it's revealed that the character Oliver is a diabetic, Miley and Lily tried to protect Oliver from sugary foods. The episode was banned due to it facing large amounts of backlash for portraying diabetes in a misleading and inaccurate way. The episode in question would be pulled from air before having the problematic scenes reshot and being then unbanned and put back on air. Miley Cyrus pole dance. During the 2009 Teen Choice Awards, Miley Cyrus would perform at said award show by doing a pole dance. Hang on, I'm getting a call. Hello?
Hi. I'm just taking my lunch early.
Oh, okay.
I'm taking my lunch early because right now there's literally nothing going on and it's about to get busier, so I'm like, oh, fuck it, why not? And then also, I ate this, like, cheese in the back room, and, it was not very good.
Very nice. During the 2009 Teen Choice Awards, Miley Cyrus would perform at said award show by doing a pole dance. At the time, Miley was 16, and since it was also for a Teen Choice Awards, there was obvious criticisms. Nothing ever actually came of it though, as Miley Cyrus herself revealed that it was actually her mother's idea to do the pole dance at the show. Shake It Up eating disorder joke. The Disney Channel show Shake It Up would come under heavy fire for a joke said in one of the episodes. The joke in question was about eating disorders.
You're adorable. I could just eat you guys up. You know, if I ate.
This would lead to Demi Lovato herself calling out Disney for the extremely insensitive joke. Disney immediately pulled the episode and edited out the joke before then re-airing the episode. NARRA Dreamland. NARRA Dreamland was a Japanese ripoff copycat of Disneyland that opened in 1961. It featured a large castle and the rides themselves were all just Disney rides, like the teacups for example. In 2006, the park would permanently close due to a low attendance, as well as the theory of just Disney suing them for pretty much ripping them off entirely if they were to ever find out about it. But since it was like 50 years, I can't imagine why. But regardless, they just packed their bags and left before anything was too late, and it was demolished outright in 2016. Suing daycares. In 1989, Disney would sue 3 locally owned daycare centers in Florida. The reason being was that the daycares included large painted wall murals of Mickey, Minnie, and Goofy. Disney, being Disney, would force them to paint over these murals, because we can't have that. In an absolutely big dick move, Universal would step in and reach out to the daycares and offer them both free permission and labor to paint their characters on the walls as replacements. And so the daycares got characters like Scooby-Doo and the Flintstones put there instead. Communal underwear. Disney would not allow mascot costume wearers to wear their own personal underwear, but instead share a communal set of underwear. Okay, this would lead to the obvious problems of performers receiving various outbreaks, scabies, and pubic lice. And it wasn't until June of 2001 that this communal underwear rule was dropped and the actors could wear their own underwear. Sexist rejection letter. In 1938, the Walt Disney Productions Company sent a rejection letter to a female applicant, Mary V. Ford, explicitly stating that women were barred from the creative animation training because that work is performed entirely by young men. She would be offered different, less paying and less responsible roles like tracing. Madness. Debbie Stone. Debbie Stone was a hostess at Disney at the ride known as America Sings, which was a rotating stage that went through the history of America. However, on July 8th, 1974, just 9 days after the ride opened, Debbie Stone would get stuck on the moving carousel ride itself and get crushed to death as it rotated. Parkgoers heard her screams and thought that it was part of the attraction. When emergency services arrived, Debbie was already gone. Her parents would sue Disney, where there actually would be a small settlement. Adventures in Wonderland O.J. Simpson. The Disney show Adventures in Wonderland would have its 99th episode, White Rabbits Can't Jump, pulled from release and never air due to it featuring guest star O.J. Simpson as a main character in the episode, where his arrest would take place before the episode was able to be released, and thus it was pulled. All My Children, Michael. I wasn't going to include any like ABC stuff in this because that just feels a bit too disconnected from Disney itself, but I figured that this one made a big enough splash to include. The ABC soap drama All My Children would feature a villain character known as Michael, and in one of the episodes would just full-on rape the character Bianca, who then became pregnant from it. Holy shit. This entire Michael storyline arc is known by fans as the Voldemort arc. Animal Kingdom protests. In 1998, Disney would open the Animal Kingdom attraction to their park. This would, surprise surprise, piss off PETA, who protested the park and picketed it, claiming that keeping animals locked in captivity for the entertainment of people was unethical. But of course, nothing ever actually came of this, and the PETA protests slowly died down. Shark fin soup. In 2005, Disneyland Hong Kong would stir up a small controversy when it was revealed that they would be providing shark fin soup on their wedding menus. In China, shark fin soup is a delicacy and a cultural tradition that symbolizes wealth and honor. The rest of the world, however, saw it as inhumane and horrible. This would throw Disney in a bit of like a PR nightmare because whatever they chose was the wrong answer. If they take the shark fin soup off the menu, then they're being culturally insensitive. But if they keep it on there, they're gonna piss off pretty much everybody. Disney would end up siding with the rest of the world and remove shark fin soup from its menus, stating that the reason was simply due to them not being able to find a good source of sharks. White Wilderness. This one is brutal. Disney made a documentary about Arctic animals known as White Wilderness. This included lemmings. The documentary claims and shows dozens of lemming animals all jumping into the Arctic Ocean as a form of migration. However, it was revealed that this scene of the lemmings was actually filmed in New York at just some random river, and the lemmings were being intentionally pushed off the cliff and killed for the shots in the documentary. The worst part of this, these exact species of lemmings seen in the documentary don't even migrate, or at least not in terms of just like doing like this mass suicide into water. They legitimately mass murder a bunch of innocent lemmings in this documentary for actually no reason. Disney cruise molestation cover-up. In 2012, an employee on a Disney cruise line would follow a 12-year-old girl into an elevator. You can most likely assume what took place. After the incident was proven with literal camera evidence of this happening, as well as the dude admitting to it, Disney did not let him get arrested, and instead just simply fired him and paid for his plane back home to his home country of India. Most likely to just sweep any possible bad press that this would have had under the rug and just to protect him, straight up. He now lives in India and fully got away with it thanks to Disney.